So, obviously it means a lot that everyone showed. We didn't know if it was going to be 20 or 80. It looks like it's somewhere around 35 bucks.
Okay, that's okay. Don't worry, there'll be more coming.
What most people don't know is obviously my dad was really strict when we were growing up. It's a compliment to him. Now, in his, definitely the last 10 or 15 years, he's turned into quite the party animal and also, and also a writer. And so he's guided us not just in our business, but in our personal lives to be ethical. And with that, basically, I'd like to introduce my father, the chairman of the Michael family, Ashur.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Come on down here. Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, we'll see. Hey, Dan, I am hooked, right?
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Let me see. Where's my pointer? I have it. So Ashley, whenever I point to something, show it on a large scale, please. Okay. Okay, thank you very much for the Escala Book Club, Larry McIntyre and Karen Robbins. I really appreciate that for inviting me for this. And Mark and Ashley Company that's sponsoring this event. I want to say some past due thanks for my book. That's really past due. I've never thanked these people. I want to thank Mike Chosen and Ona O'Connor for editing my book. They edited this book and they did an excellent job. And in a gathering in the wine cave downstairs, Mike Chosen said, you know what, when I edited Ashur Michael's book, I've never detected any accent. I said, hey, Mike, come on. I am an engineer. I know how to write, even though the engineers are not the best writers. But I said, all right. So Pam Chosen is here. Please convey that to Mark. I want to tell you a little bit about my background. I am a civil engineer, professional engineer, and a fellow and a life member of American Society of Civil Engineers. I am also a licensed general engineering contractor and building contractor in California, and also a licensed engineering contractor in state of Hawaii for Bechtel as responsible managing engineers of the corporation. My career in corporate America was 38 years. Out of this 38 years, 35 years I worked in one company, Bechtel. I grew up in Bechtel. I did everything for Bechtel. If you've not heard about Bechtel, it's the biggest EPC, engineering, procurement company and construction in the world. They did the Hoover Dam, the Eurotunnel, Boston Arteries, Jubail project in Saudi Arabia, that was $22 billion, and 35% of all nuclear power plants in the United States. As young engineers in 1976, I designed personally the emergency cooling system for Limerick nuclear power plant in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. And I had two draftsmen and a designer. I didn't give it to them. I said, you go have coffee and enjoy. I want to draw it too. So I designed it and I drew it. I did all this civil. It was as big as 1,300 swimming pool at 30,000 gallon per pool. So I was very proud of that as a young engineer in 1976. Now, most of the information in this book are factual, are based on on the brilliant guy that I have the tour guide for 2 days, Marcus, that he had a degree of culture and history from University of Lima, Peru. And I gleaned a lot of information. All the other information are my interpretations of the ruins from the eye of a civil engineer. Quechua is the native people of Peru. They're like, if you want to equate them, they're like Native American. Native American. They're the indigenous people of Peru. They were ruled by Inca. Inca was the king. But somehow in all the books, they refer to them as Incas. And Inca was the name of the king, but somehow all historians and everybody refer to them as Incas. So in my book, I'm also referring them as Incas. Quechua is, as a matter of fact, if I need to remember the driver and my tour guide, Marcus, they were talking the Quechua language. I didn't know. I told them, is that Spanish? They said, no, that's Quechua. So there is people still in Peru talk the Quechua language. Okay, I'm not a historian, but even though I love history, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about history. So by 13th century, the Inca controlled all the west of South America, a stretch that goes 2,500 miles, starting from Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Chile. All that stretch that's facing the Pacific Ocean. That was by 13th century. By 1532, the Spanish army conquered all that area. And oh, by the way, the Inca established Cusco as their capital. So when the Spanish army came, they conquered all this area and they overthrew Cusco as the capital. So the Inca, they scattered all over the area. They fought the Spanish. A lot of them, they went into the high mountains because they loved the mountains. And a lot of them went fighting so their population, according to many books, they decreased from 11 million to 1.5 million. Because that's what they fought, diseases, and they start fighting among each other too. Their empire did not last very long. By 1532, when the Spanish army conquered the area, they were gone. So so really they did not stay very long in that area. So it's, by our standard, it's like 235 to 250 years. Machu Picchu site was not, the Spanish did not know about Machu Picchu site because what happened, it was blended with the topography, with that mountain. By the way, Machu Picchu is about 8,000 above mean sea level, and Cusco is 12,000 above mean sea level. But on the side of Machu Picchu is about 2,000 above the river. So in 1911, Hiram Bingham, a professor from Harvard, discovered the Machu Picchu. He said, well, there must be a site here because he knows the history and so it was covered all by, Ashley, could you show that a little bit right here? So it was all covered like what you see there, you know, with all vegetation and this. So nobody knew about Machu Picchu. So he said there is a site there, and This is very important site. So in 2007, Machu Picchu was declared as a new seven wonders of the world. You know, a new one, and according to UNESCO, United Nations Scientific and Cultural Organization, they declared Machu Picchu as one of the new seven wonders of the world. This was, I got really fascinated about that. Okay, my story is not, you know, if you look at the book, you'll see a love story. This is not a love story between man and a woman. Not at all. It's not a love story. It's the love that I found for the Machu Picchu ruins and for the talent of these people that they built this site. So it's, again, it's not a love story. A lot of people thought maybe this is, we fell in love. No, that's not a love story. It's a love story between topography, the river, the talent of these people that they built this site. I am a strong believer that a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's why in my book, you will see 75% is pictures, and maybe 70% picture, and 30% is verbiage, the write-up. So that's why I really, to tell you that not me, all engineers, we believe in diagrams and pictures. I want to talk about the trip. If you see there, Ashley, could you show that side? Oh, okay. The trip. This book can be very much like a tour guide for people that the first time that they go and see Machu Picchu. So it's really as a tour guide too, at the same time as, you know, my book is even though I'm talking about the engineering from the eye of civil engineer, the ruins, but it's still a tour guide. So right there, if you see here, Seattle, Houston, 4 hours, Houston to Lima, Peru, 7 hours. During the 7 hours, I had 4 shots of scotch and I slept all the way. I did not know anything. Yeah, Annette, you know, I think Annette got mad at me. Right. Okay, and then right here, this is Lima, Peru, and Cusco is located 350 miles southeast of Lima. So it's right here. In a bigger scale of Cusco, what was the capital of the Incas, that I really respected their engineering talent and architectural view. It's 350 miles from Cusco. So we took 2 trips. One time, with that brilliant Marco, that he had a degree of culture and tourism from University of Lima. He was with us for 2 days, and I asked him thousands of questions because I said, I'm gonna write a book about this. So what happened is, first time we went from Cusco to Pisac, and we went all the way to this city that's next to Machu Picchu ruin. I did not see the Machu Picchu ruin first day. This is the sacred valley and sacred river. In this river and sacred valley, that's very funny. You know, all the rivers in the world, they flow from the north to south. That was the only river that flow from south to north. It's completely up. See, that's the north arrow, and that's the flow direction of the river, and it go and discharges in the Amazon. So, and then right here in this valley, my tour guide, you know, Marco, told me they grow about 4,000 different types of corn. I thought maybe he's bullshitting, honestly. So I went and reconciled with the owner Ona O'Connor, she's been 4 or 5 times to this site. I said, Ona, this guy is telling me there's 4,000 kind of corn here. Is that true? She said, yes. I said, okay, then I'll put that in my book. But I thought 4,000 kind of corn, that's too much. Anyway, the corn that you're eating there is Peruvian corn. So. Okay. Site selection. You know, I admire these people as a civil engineer. This is where my fascination is. These guys that, I'm talking about 700 years ago, you know, that they didn't know the structural engineering and civil engineering, but they picked a site. They knew their country is full with earthquake. Seismic zone 4. You know, in engineering, any structural engineer, when they design a building, there is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Zone 4 is the worst. And 0, there is no ground acceleration. Ground acceleration in engineering means the wave that travel through the ground as a result of earthquake. So they didn't know anything about that, but they picked a site that it's made of granite and basalt. And they did the site investigation. They looked at a site that is all granite and basalt. By the way, I'm gonna deviate from that, because what happened, these Andes mountains that they go from all the way from north of Peru, which is Ecuador, all the way to Chile, the Andes mountain, there's a fault line right there, parallel to that, about 100 miles offshore. So that fault line, it's, you know, that means it's a crack in the crust of the earth. There is cracks in the crust of the earth as a result of geothermal activities below the earth, below the globe. There's a lot of, so, and then the geologists and scientists identified the 7 plates in the world, major plates, that they move very weirdly, this way, this way, this way, and this way, and the result is an earthquake. And I don't want to scare you. That site was zone 4. In Seattle here we have zone 4, and around San Andreas Fault we have zone 4. And in Seattle even it's worse than San Andreas, because what happened in San Andreas Fault, both plates, the North American plate and the Pacific plate, are moving at the same to northwest, however, the Pacific plate is moving at the rate of 3 inches a year, and the North American plate is moving only 1 inch. So what happened, and the fault line is offshore, and around Santa Barbara and Los Angeles become inland. So what happened, I did some calculation yesterday, 2 inches a year, and 1 million year from now, Los Angeles and Santa Barbara, they'll be an island in the water about 28 miles away from the mainland. Now about this, about our fault line, Cascadia fault line, which is 600 miles long, and that's offshore. This is even worse, because what happened is the Pacific plate is moving 3 inches northwest, and and the American plate, North American plate, is southeast. So they're separating. So and there's an earthquake every 300 to 400 years. We are due to one, honestly. So, but you know, people that live in Escala, you know, I talked to the structural engineer, is designed very good. To tell you the truth, all the building that is built in late 70s are designed to the code. So it's, anyway. Now going back to the subject, yeah, I'm sorry, you know, I don't want to excite you, but this is a fact. We're due to, so when you're talking about geologic year, 100 years, 200 is nothing. So it could be an earthquake in 200 years from now, or it could be in 2 weeks. So it's, they've never, you know, they've never mastered how you time an earthquake with all our science that we have, honestly. Okay, now back to the subject. So Lima, you know, so the Incas knew that they have a history of earthquake. Well, they heard it from their fathers, grandfathers, ancestors. So in 1700s, an earthquake hit that area. Lima was destroyed to the ground, completely leveled, because it was 8.7 earthquake. In the book, I'm saying 7.1. That's not correct. The earthquake magnitude was 8.7 on Richter scale. So it's but what happened is Machu Picchu all the walls stayed there. Nothing happened. So that's why I admire these people from a civil engineering point of view, and I really have full respect for them. Before I went to the Machu Picchu, and where is Mark? Are you here?
Barely.
Okay. A good friend of mine, an architect from Bay Area, he told me that he visited Machu Picchu. He said, Ashur, I really don't believe. It must be the aliens that they put these big rocks, such of this. Look, Ashley, could you show us the bigger scale of the, yeah. Look at the human being. So he said, okay, this rock is like, I would say 70 feet by 40 feet depth, and also going this way, the other dimension, I don't know how much. That my friend, the architect, he said, he believed the alien. He said, I don't believe human being, and 700 years ago, they hauled this big rock to that elevation. So I said, Joe, his name is Joe, by the way. I was not going to sell his name, but he's from Bay Area. I said, Joe, okay, I'm gonna put that in bucket list. I wanna see, let me see on my own, see what's this? Maybe you're right, but let me go. So that's why I went to Machu Picchu. And I had a different take, and I'm gonna come to that. As I said earlier, the Incas picked a site, and honestly, I do not know even what they did with what, because what happened there, the Inca king, he stayed in Cusco, and their empire lasted only 250 years, as I stated earlier. So all their king within this 250 years, maybe they came 3-4 times. Each king, maybe, they never came to visit this area. I don't know why. They built it for about 600 elite, supported by another 150 cooks, servants, and this thing. But somehow the king, and he never came there very often, only 2-3 times. The king, their kings during this 250 years period. So what happened, what they did, they really carved a mountain. that's made of basalt and granite. So a big rock like this stayed in situ. In situ means in place. They never removed that. But a smaller rock, let's say like, actually, could you show that a little bigger? Okay. A rock like this, they moved it. They show back the other one. Go back. Okay. More, further. No. Okay. Yeah. What was it? Right here. Right here. So what happened? They designed rollers. These rollers made of again basalt and basalt and granite. So they utilize the law of gravity. So what happened is they never took a rock that is half size of this or 1/4 size. They never took it uphill because there's no way. They didn't have backhoes. They didn't have bulldozer. They didn't have cranes. 700 years ago, they used their hands. So what happened? I have full respect for them. They utilized the law of gravity. So what happened? A rock like this, like this area small, they moved it to the desired location, where they supposed to be through these rollers. It said that it took 30 years to build Machu Picchu. It's mystery. I really don't know why they built that. The king only came not very often, and they blended with topography. It stayed a mystery for me. And as a civil engineer, I got very curious. What went in the head of these people? What they were doing this is where they got my full respect, really, because as an engineer, professional engineer, I got a full respect with all their talent. They utilized all laws of structural engineering and physics of today. Honestly, they did, because I asked my tour guide thousands of questions, and it got bored. Because I got very curious. I said, I'm gonna write a book, because this is, there is a reason why it was declared one of the new 7 wonders of the world, because it was very good structure and very smart people that they did this. That they have they were smarter even than me, much smarter, because they utilized all laws of physics and structural engineering in terms of the seismic, in terms of everything. Okay. As I said, the city was built for 600, supported by another 57. They applied all the physics laws. And this place, they designed the site. The sun never hit east, because the sun goes this way. Never hit this. Let me see. Ashley, the windows, so there'll be air coming this way, right here, and see. Okay, you see, this is the side, east-west, and the orientation. They designed the site in such a way that they stored all their food. They love the mountain, facing east. So that's why through some I don't have a full picture. Even the Spanish told them, come down and cultivate the land. They refused. Section of the adjacent mountain. They stayed there. The sun rise at a certain time will hit certain windows of certain dignitaries that they lived in this. Something I honestly, as structural engineer, as a civil engineer, I don't know why they did that. They designed their building to curve down, to curve inside the building. So they designed them to, so the building will curve to the inside, the interior. A curve right here. Honestly, I think, I asked the guy, he did not know my tour guide. But I think they did that for two reasons. Maybe to lower the center of gravity, and also to maybe if the earthquake hit and the people are living here, so it will fall everything to the outside. That I cannot conclude that, but I was puzzled with why they build the building in such a way, the structure, that to curve in where the inside the building is. They nailed the north arrow right here. Ashley, could you show this? Okay, this is my sketch. You know, I asked Marcos to put the compass, this magnetic field, and you know, in the United States, anywhere you put a compass, there is a deviation between the magnetic field and the true north, magnetic north and true north. They nailed the north arrow 100%, like not 99.9%, 100%. They nailed it. I really wish, I cried. I said, how the hell they did. So that's why as I said, I asked him so many questions. I said, why don't put this? I want to check, because they had a mark for the true north. They nailed it. So even I started liking them more for their. Well, I thought they were very smart people 700 years ago. The terrace, in the menu, it said pork and pig. So I said, Annette, I'll eat pig. It's the same thing, pork and pig the same. I didn't know that. I didn't know the pig is guinea pig. So what happened, they brought, actually, there's another picture I think I have that they're doing the barbecue. So they brought me on a plate, a guinea pig. I said, and that was the most expensive good food ever. All the Australians, they ate that food. I said, I can't eat, this is a pet. So I really love their culture, their food, except I could not eat these guys. You know, I saw they grow them, so they cook them on charcoal. I said that's the only thing. But every other food I love, except the guinea pig. Let me see. Honestly, I think I talked about more or less about everything. So what happened, to conclude this, Machu Picchu was always in my mind. When my friend architect from Bay Area told me the alien put this, I said, I'm gonna visit this site. That's another rock right here that stayed in place. Okay, right here, Ashley, no, go down. Thank you. More down. Right here. Look at this. This is the yard of the king. The king quarters. It was carved. The rock. Look how they carved the rock so beautifully. Very smooth and very good. And they allowed for seismic, for the shake in the ground. They allowed a few inches, so that the structure will not fall down. It will move freely. So that amazed me. Really amazed me. So in conclusion, you know what? When my friend architect told me about the ruins, so I put that in my bucket list. Oh, by the way, this is the indigenous people, and Annette looks like one of them. So look at it. And that's Annette. Look at Annette. Look at it. Honestly, what's the difference? This is it. Right here. No, that's you. That's you. This is the local. These are the descendants of Incas. The Incas. These were the people that I really respected a lot. So what happened? Let me see some more picture. I think we talk about everything. This is another rock that stayed in place. They never removed. Pisco sour. That's the pisco sour. Like, thank you, Annette. What happened is that, like, in Mexico is tequila, in Scotland is scotch, in Greece is ouzo. Pisco is their drink. That's why we have that drinks today, and that's why also these corn nuts, they are from Peru. This is what, according to ONA, they're right. They grow 4,000 kind of corns in the valley, in the Sacred Valley. So so I went and called my friend of architect. I told him, no, I really have a different take. I think these people were very smart. These are no aliens, because after I looked about the subgrade and the mountain, they picked the right site for the right thing, being at that very seismic active zone. So that's why I fell in love with these people, with the ruins, with topography, with the layouts, with the sacred river, sacred valley, with their food, except this. I did not eat that. So with this book, I hope I removed Machu Picchu from my bucket list and place it in the bucket list of many others. That if they're fortunate enough, they go and see the ruins and derive to their own conclusion and their fascination and their recommendation. That was my recommendation, my side, from my view. And with that, I want to thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.